Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Michelle Marie Mallender. Mallender died on Saturday, June 24, 2017, after she was stabbed in the 12400 block of Van Nuys Boulevard in Pacoima, according to LA County coroner records. Hector Lopez was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. Lopez and Mallender lived in a motorhome behind a house rented by Maribel Gomez. Gomez rented her home from Lopez's uncle. After an extensive history of domestic violence spanning more than a decade, Lopez killed Mallender one evening in his motorhome by the use of a sharp instrument, inflicting a fatal puncture wound to her skull. The murder occurred late in the evening on June 22, 2017, or in the early morning on June 23rd. Gomez was at home and heard a woman screaming. She went outside to throw out the trash, and Lopez asked to borrow her cell phone to call the police. He said his wife had drank and had passed out. Gomez gave Lopez her cell phone. Lopez dialed and spoke, but Gomez did not hear the conversation. Lopez then returned the cell phone and left. Lopez came back to speak with Gomez a second time and again explained that he needed her phone to call an ambulance. Gomez responded that Lopez already called them, but Lopez said dial again because it's an emergency. Gomez gave Lopez her phone. Lopez dialed again, but Gomez didn't hear Lopez speak to the operator. Lopez left and returned a third time, again asking Gomez to call 911. Gomez gave her phone to her 12-year-old son and asked him to call 911. She thought Lopez was frightened. Gomez's son didn't know how to dial correctly, handed Gomez the phone, and the operator told Gomez that the previous caller was not giving the address. Gomez gave the operator the address, and the operator asked her to check to see if Mallender was breathing. Gomez went to the motorhome, still holding her phone, and Lopez took the phone away from her when Gomez lifted the curtain inside the motorhome to check on Mallender. She saw Mallender sitting in a chair with her eyes open, not breathing, and bleeding from her left temple. Gomez heard Lopez say to Mallender, quote, "Mamacita, I love you and I will not do this to you again." Gomez and Lopez exited the motorhome, and Lopez ran toward the ambulance. Police arrived at the hospital a few hours later, around 3:40 a.m. Officer Sergio Moreno spoke with Lopez. Lopez said that he and Mallender were drinking margaritas outside because it was a hot night. Lopez at first said that when they were done drinking, Mallender walked into the motorhome first, but then stated, No, wait, I walked in first. And after he walked in first, Mallender fell backwards and hit her head. Lopez was not sure whether she hit her head on the ground or on the building beside the motorhome. Lopez said Mallender then immediately fell unconscious. Lopez added that he called 911 and administered CPR until the ambulance arrived. Detective Gabriel Bucknell responded to the crime scene later that morning around 9 a.m. He observed the inside of the motorhome was cluttered and showed signs of a struggle. He saw a shattered mirror, and the pieces of the mirror were on the floor and even outside the motorhome. He also saw a broken remote control. Trace amounts of blood were on the floor and clothing was strewn about. Outside the motorhome, he noticed a table was set up with some tools. A screwdriver was among the tools, but it was not bloody and did not appear out of place. A hammer was lying on the ground next to the table. Dr. Timothy Dutra, a deputy medical examiner, performed the autopsy. He determined Mallender died of a penetrating stab wound to the side of her head. The wound was about 2 inches deep. Dr. Dutra opined the fatal stab wound was caused by a screwdriver. He testified the stab wound could not have been caused by falling to the ground or falling and hitting the corner of a countertop or cabinet. Following the trial, Lopez was found guilty of second-degree murder, and the jury found true the weapon use allegation. The court sentenced Lopez to a state prison term of 16 years to life. Michelle Marie Mallender was 29 years old at the time of death.